Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 10 versus 10 on Gora Kalwaria, and I'm going to be playing with Festung Dunkirchen, the new division available in the latest Nemesis DLC. As you can see, the game is already underway, and I'm going to be rushing forwards with a bunch of Flammenwerfer. They come in these super speedy tractions, so we've got a little bit of a race going on here. The Grenadier also amongst them. And then further back we have all of the Kubels, Stostruppen Aufklärer, the Kampflefett, and also the Pak 38 in there as well. So my hope was that I was going to be able to spread out all of these Kampflefetts into the edge of this town, and then blast across the open with the 1,500 meter range 20mm. But as you can see, Hardson is going to be saying no to that, as he just comes straight across the open with a lot of his infantry, and that is one hell of a big blob of Romanian infantry. Kalwaria Morty, the Pianidi leader, providing the 2 vet. I see the leader, and I want to try and take that out first, because without the extra veterancy, these are going to be a lot easier to deal with, and a lot easier to suppress. Unfortunately, this one doesn't get line of sight onto the leader soon enough. Also, you might have seen on the right hand side here, some infantry did get rocketed on the road by the escaping typhoon early on. So a little bit of a tough start for Yags and Inky here with some of their units. This Kampflefett going to be firing away with its APHE shells toward the ZB and Kalwaria, but they do get pinned down, so not going to be terribly effective anymore. This infantry is getting very close, so what I'm going to do is bring up 2 of these AR-196s. Now these AR-196s, they do come with 20 mils in the wings, which do actually make them relatively good at strafing, and since they're so slow, they'll get a lot of rounds on target. Unfortunately, our opponents have the AA covered. 2 doublers, gonna make things very, very sad for my seaplanes, and they're both gonna get wiped out in quick succession there. So my plan to deal with all of this has now failed. I did take out the leader at least, so that was something. Now I'm gonna have to rely on some micro with the Flammenwerfers and the Stostruppen to get the better of some of this infantry, and I managed to get a HE onto the multi. We kill it with the Flammenwerfer, so trading 1 for 1 there is actually good for me. The Stostruppen only 15 points, the Morty 30 points, so trading up nicely there. But I've got to make sure that I don't get caught out at range by these MGs, and you can see that I am starting to be, as the wall of T-26s arrives behind Hardson's infantry. So I'm dealing with Machu and Hardson putting pressure on this town, and it's really starting to break down a lot of my units. Meanwhile, on the right side, Klausura getting a good kill with his AT gun onto the Panzer IV, going to be starting to break down some of the Yags units, and there was also a huge surrender on the right hand side there, which doesn't help matters at all. Now the Kalwaria are going to be engaging my 20mm once again. Unfortunately not enough time to get down damage. I'm going to smoke off my Gunfuhrer to try and keep that alive, as the infantry seats itself nicely into this town, and we are being pushed back very, very hard now. Remember, we still got that wall of T-26s to deal with, so that's not fun at all. My 20mm might have a decent chance of doing some good damage here, so waiting for that to fire at the T-70s. Yagged Source, in the meanwhile, has brought up his one and only Yagged Panther. You can see a lot of people in this game are playing with the new Festung division, Festung Dunkirchen. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players using this division. And each of us get 1 Jagdpanther with 2 veterancy, assuming that they bring it in, but I would be surprised that if anyone didn't. This one trying to cut down some of these T-26s before they get into the town here and out of line of sight. So the Kalwaria have actually moved through, and at close range these 20mm really don't do too well unless they are supported by other infantry. They do have really good accuracy at close range, and they can do a lot of damage very quickly, but not if they are being fired upon themselves, because the suppression there making them absolutely useless. Aufklärer also getting spotted here is not great, because that's going to blind us That would have been really good if I could have kept that in position. Nice kill again by the Jagdpanther here, taking out the T-70. Marine infantry just trying to stem the bleeding right now. In the forest here, I've got a combination of the Stormtrooper and the Flammenwerfer, but we're up against Shocks and Makassars, which are some chonky Molotov squads. Not fun for my Flamers or HE grenade reliant infantry to deal with. So whilst things are still at a 16-16 for now, this right hand side is looking dire. T-26 is gonna start getting popped once again by the Jagdpanther. Constantly finding shots through the buildings here. He's just got to be careful that he doesn't let the T-26s get too close. If those T-26s all came through the buildings here and started trying to flank the Jagdpanther, that Jagdpanther would really have to get out of dodge, because at close range the T-26s can get the side shots in and start to put down some pain. Artillery coming in nicely onto these units is definitely helping us out right now. That's coming in here from Lycus, who has deployed further back with these 76mm artillery pieces. So they're starting to chip away at some of this infantry. And the Marine infantry has kind of helped stop this push alongside all of the extra infantry from Inky, KM Pioneer, Festung's Grenadiers. We're also able to trade another Morty here, which was good, with the Stormtrooper and Flammenwerfer. So we are making them bleed as they push forwards, but they are still making ground and taking flags. It's 18-14. Things really going badly for our team early on. And we even have pressure coming in on the right side here as Kalwaria continues his push with his shocks onto Lycus's disheartened infantry. Even the Pak-38 under pressure from the M8 and will go down. Now KM Pioneers, they do have Panzerstrecks, so they're going to be able to help clean up these T-26s as long as they can get their reloads off. So you can see 2 were taken out there in quick succession. Another one going to be going down, and breaking down these T-26s is very important for us to be able to take back ground. So that's, I think, potentially the last T-26 going down there. Now we've just got to start dealing with all of this infantry. So I've got some more Marine infantry coming in with my own Jagdpanther that is going to be able to help support from this position. So my plan originally was to bring in that Jagdpanther to just help prevent the advance of the T-26s, but obviously it's no longer needed for that role, so it can now be used as HE fire support for the infantry. And that was the plan. One of my Kampflifeds still alive, firing away onto the Shocks. Marine infantry getting into position, but now I'm being pressured on this left side by Hansen. He's found another hole in my defense. I have one Gren that's going to be able to hold the line there for a little while. I've also now brought up some Panzerstrecks. Again, that was another reaction to the T-26s. It just got here a little bit too late. Our opponents are up to 20-12, which is in fact a double tick. Let's check out this Jagdpanther as it moves around here. This map is absolutely beautiful when you zoom in, especially the skybox. It's really cool. So my infantry on the left really not lasting too long. Stur 42 from Shock will help a bit with chunking down the Kalashimoto, but my Gren's still forced out of position here, not really able to capitalize on that support. So the majority of my units mopped up early on by this combined push from our opponents. Very nicely done. Oliver, Matthew, Hudson on this side, and then Kalwaria really putting on the pressure on the right. Got the infantry pushing up, but these guys are all pinned down. Matthew's going to want to get them out of dodge as the MG271 continues to put down fire. Gren's trying to have a go at the Kalashimoto, but 2 MG42s is going to beat a single MG34. Grilla, though, have something to say about that. Valdis coming in with the double Grilla. Gonna really put the pain onto that squad. It just gets out of line of sight in time, though. And I'm going to have to use my Grens to clean them out, which isn't going to be too bad because they're down to 2 men now. And that's the end of Phase A, and we are not in a good spot. Thankfully, of course, you know, most people playing balance, so generally speaking, we do have more income across the board, and we're able to maybe set up a set push to try and take things back. Between myself, Inky, Yagd, and Lycus, we're going to be trying to take back any of these flags we lost. So we're going to have to take back this flag, we're going to have to take back these two flags, or at least one of them, and I'm also going to have to try and take back this flag. This one's very much my responsibility, and so far, I've completely lost it. These Grens at least coming across, and we'll be able to push across the open here. Got the MG34s to come up and support me as I push up. This is actually vitally important. Having the MGs to cover my infantry advance, it will help deal with his better infantry, because he's got the MG30, like the double MG34s, double MG42s. But if I can engage his infantry with a machine gun from range, he won't be able to fire back because he's limited to 750, whereas the MGs have 1,250 meter range. So you can really utilize that to your advantage. Nice 20mm vehicle though, definitely going to help out a lot from shock here. The SBW 259 in the colors of the Romanians. Friends are now going to be able to take back that light cover. And you can see the shots coming across here from the Panzer IV of Yagd, which are going to be going for the ZB. Pack 38 gets taken out. So slowly but surely picking off the units from their initial push and stabilizing the line. And that's what we want to do before we decide to push back. On the right side, in the meantime, Lycus has managed to get back up into a relatively good position here, but still very much under pressure by all of this infantry, the French infantry of the Shocks and the Tankos here with their Molotovs at close range are going to be problems for these infantry. So flag filling has now been brought up to provide some AA cover, and Gren's now spreading out to push forwards and clean out these AT guns. Really cheeky of Ardson to get these AT guns so far up, because it's going to potentially snipe reinforcements coming into position. But that's why we're screening first with Grens, just to make sure that any threats like this are taken care of before we move up any armor. Not that we have much armor to work with. Festung Dunkirchen only has 2 cards of armor, 1 card of Panzer IVs, 1 card of Stugs. So you're probably not going to be seeing much of that throughout the games. These Pack 38's not going to be as useful. And that Kalwaria, getting into a real bad position as all the MG34s from these Grenadiers open up at once, and the MG34 bipods or tripods going to be engaging as well. And the Pack 38 going to be cleaned up potentially on that left hand side. So we are getting rid of a lot of these support weapons that Hardson had brought up to strengthen his position here. But fortunately for us, we didn't throw any tanks or armor into them, so we're able to kill them off. Jagdpanther getting plenty of shots through here. You can see that it has used up all of its HE shells trying to help there. So that was definitely useful, but I am going to have to get that resupplied. The reason it's quite important to resupply the HE is because if it doesn't have any HE, then it won't automatically face towards AT guns. Like, for example, if you have the HE turned off, the same is the case. So you're going to want to make sure that you do have HE in your tanks, because sometimes they'll just sit there and get shot in the side and not face, even if they can see them, because they'll be trying to aim the AP shells that they do have towards a tank that they can maybe see over the horizon. MG34 still providing great cover here. It's exactly what we want. Just make sure that we completely choke the push from multiple directions. Rockets now coming in though onto those MGs, and you can see how vital these are for preventing the push, as otherwise they wouldn't invest so much into trying to kill them. Fortunately, not going to be losing one there, so that's okay. And that will be some wasted rockets from them. Now back here, one thing that Festung does have in abundance is artillery. So I've got the K419 French howitzer. 155 mils of love going to be fired towards the front line. Actually, not even the front line, the back line, where the enemy Katyusha fired from. So going to be trying to take that out. We know it's a Katyusha mainly because of the amount of rockets that come in. You can kind of count them as they land. If there's 10, then it's Katyusha. If it's 6, it will be a Nebelwerfer. Obviously, we're playing against the Allies, so we don't have to worry about that. So usually it's just a Katyusha. And if it's an Andrusha, well, the explosions are just bigger. And they fire a lot slower. So you can kind of tell what kind of enemy unit you're up against by the characteristics of the rockets coming in. Artillery, counter battery coming in onto the 60 mils there, very nice. This is Yag's own 76 mils. So both Yagd and Leica setting up some arty parks with these 76 mils. Very nice support. And we've got the Panzer IV supporting my infantry as I push forwards. I'm even moving forwards to Flakfelling just to make sure that we have AA further up. It's actually quite common that players will like leave behind their AA, and then as you move forwards and assault forwards, you end up getting caught out by the bombers that just aren't being touched by those AA units that are just a little too far back. So making sure that you have them with you when you make pushes is very important. So make sure to do that. Just don't put them too far forwards, obviously, because you don't want them to be taken out quickly in a counter-offensive. Off-map now arriving. Another thing that Festung has in abundance. Just artillery in general is massive in this deck. And a 164 mil off-map with 3 strikes is brutal. You can also get the 194mm off-map as well. But we're not going to be seeing that just yet. But things are starting to be taken back. So I've got my marine infantry that was trying to support some of Inky's and Yag's infantry pushing back on this right-hand side. I've got my infantry taking back the ground on the left, supported by Grim and Shock. Shock, though, does have his own problems with Valdis here. They need to try and take back this town, because that is another flag that we have lost. Also, over on this left side, Grim guy on our team did unfortunately drop at the start, so this is an AA, or sorry, an AI, trying to hold the line there. The Flakfelling getting some good shots on target, going to be wiping out the PO2 as we rip off its wing, apparently. Panzergren's now going to be looking to run across the open and take out the T-70. It's probably not the best idea for these Grens, but probably just left them on that order so that I can advance onto contact, reveal stuff, and allow other units to kill them off. So what's next? Well, more artillery, more 155 mils coming in. We do have plenty of time still to work with in this game. And my plan really was to get all of these 155s to start breaking down any of the support weapons or infantry that was standing in my way. And if we can also get the artillery in earlier on, it makes this much easier to win the counter battery wars, which will inevitably happen. One of my Grens does manage to make it into the light cover here, so we get the Panzerfaust on target. Jagdpanther now moving up on this left-hand side. Potez comes through with the bombing strike, and it was at this moment I realised I probably need a bit more AA to cover my Jagdpanther. Potez does still go down regardless, but yeah, this Jagdpanther maybe in a little bit of a precarious position, going to be engaging the M2A1 50 cal half tracks. My Grens did manage to finish off the 60mm mortar, so that was nice. But the Jagdpanther, yeah, going to take out at least one of those half tracks for now. At the back, IGs. So in order to get across here after taking this back, we're going to need fire support. And IGs with their 2,000 meter range HE are the perfect solution for that. So they're coming here in the Lafley, and we're going to unload them on our side of this open field, and then just use them to fire across at the enemy. Jagdpanther actually in a really nice position here. Going to be stopping Machu from continuing forwards there in the recon. Meanwhile, artillery going going to be aimed on position. You can see a nice shell there lands directly on top of the Pak-38, and because we do have radio on top of a lot of these units, it makes the dispersion very small. So those big rounds are going to be much more reliable. Brought up an Opel Blitz to resupply the HE rounds of the Jagdpanther so it can continue to provide support onto the enemy infantry, and it's also going to be resupplying the MG34 that had also used a lot of ammunition. Now when units have used a lot of ammunition, you can generally tell that they have been very efficient, and in this case using the MG34s to cover my advance was very, very good throughout this game. Now the IG-33 getting plenty of big shots onto these Gruppe Zaciski, and these Gruppe Zaciski are very valuable units for the 358th, but aren't very good at range. They do have AVTs, which can allow them to chip enemy infantry at range, but generally you want to be fighting with these at closer ranges. All those Kampflefets showing their power at range with their veterancy. Annihilating that infantry squad, now going to be doing the same to the ZIS-2. Just check this out. Beautiful damage. And that's what I was hoping to be able to do from the start. It's just Hardson's really deep push with his infantry caught me off guard and threw off our entire balance on this right-hand side. And meanwhile on the right, since we've moved into Phase B and now Phase C, the elite infantry of the Festung Dunkirchen can come into play. And there are a few units that make up that elite infantry. You have the Jagd Pioneer, which is a flamethrower squad. Then you have the Jagd Kommando, which is a recon HE grenade squad, and then you have the Jagdkampf, which are the dual MG42 Panzerschreck squads. That combination of infantry is absolutely brutal to deal with, so we're going to be seeing more of that as we go on. Last of the infantry is getting demolished here as the artillery comes in, and I'm going to be getting my MG34s into position on the edge of the town. Panzer IV moves up, gets taken out, so I'm going to be a little bit careful here with my Jagdpanther. And I'm going to continue to bring in more artillery. So getting in my 4th 155mm here. You can see the enemy are starting to counter battery us a little bit, but I really wanted to focus my artillery on killing units in the front line here, so that we can use our build-up of units to get across. Because we're basically making a big counter-offensive right now. We blunted their push, slowed them down, then started killing them off, and now we're pushing back. So making sure that we have the artillery to support against their units that are on the defense now is super important. And we want to do it ASAP. Their lovely direct hit is going to take out another unit with the 155. Enemy rockets, though, are coming in. Going to be finding a nice surrender here as the Festung's Grenadier clean out the infantry. My MG34 right next to them, so finding the surrender immediately. And it's just a matter of time really until I try and move this Jagdpanther into line of sight of the KV-85. We're going to try and engage that. I managed to get a nice direct hit, but Lepi manages to get that out of the way and into cover soon enough, but now attack moves it forwards, and it does get taken out. So nice kill there for the Jagdpanther. Yak 9B going down on the left, definitely good. And all of these artillery pieces now going to be focusing down a ZIS-2. I wasn't a fan of where this ZIS-2 was positioned, because I was really worried that if I moved my Jagdpanther just a little bit too forwards for a second, or if Hudson started moving a ZIS-2 to the left, it would start shooting my Jagdpanther in the side armor and kill it off. So going to be just putting all 4 guns on that one unit to make sure that it's gone. Also bringing up some more infantry recon, which is important for my Jagdpanther to not get surprised by enemy tanks. For example, this T-34-85 that's going to be using the light cover here. Actually get the Aufklärer out of the Kubel just in case the T-34 gets its shot off in time. Thankfully misses, but the Aufklärer is still alive, and that's what matters. The Kubel MGs, they're kind of throwaway recon. The reason that I bring them in is usually so I can send them down a road to go and find units opposite and find like openings in the front line. Whereas this Alpha Color squad is important for its permanence. It's going to be able to stay hidden and provide information over a long period of time. That's what it's there for. Jagdpanther engaging the Doubler. Going to be forcing that back. Killing that off would be fantastic. Opens up a little bit more airplay. This 2 meanwhile on the left's really not dying. Without radio, the 155 struggling to actually get shots on target, which is not very good fun for us. We brought it back to a 17-15. We're still losing out, unfortunately. We need to try and take back, well, take this flag from our opponents. We have managed to take back this one. We're very close to capping this flag, which is going to put it 16-16. IS-2 going down due to all of the side shots coming in there from these units on the bottom side. Also, the Jagdpanther doing a great job taking out the T-34-76 as well. And in order to help the team out and get back to an advantage in our favour, I decided to throw some of my elite Jagdkommandos over to Schock and Valdis as they try and take back this town. Recon infantry like this, that's very meaty, like it has a lot of men in the squad, is very useful for a push like this. So you'll see me unload them a little bit later when I remember that they are there. Because of course, I am only human, and whilst I am, you know, microing forwards my infantry on the right hand side, I'm kind of forgetting about stuff I brought in elsewhere. Because what I'm really trying to do right now is get my Jagdkampf with their Panzerschreck to kill the T-34s. That is the priority. I do unfortunately get one of my Jagdkampf taken out and surrendered by enemy close range infantry. So looking for those kills right now. Another Jagdkommando coming in, hoping to do the same job that the Aufklärer should have been doing, but my Aufklärer did die. So yeah, replacing those. IG-33 maybe a little bit forwards, but Jagdkampf finding another of the Doublers back there is very good for us. And now you can see my 155s trying to obliterate any units in this cover. As this too still very much alive after all of that artillery I put towards it, which was unfortunate, but at least I can kind of see it, and I'm going to be able to deal with that later on. Jagdkampf coming up to reinforce, and I'm going to have more Jagd Pioneers on the way. Since we're able to get across the open here relatively easily, pushing across close range infantry is a priority now, because we want to be able to get through the heavy cover. And this heavy cover is very hard to penetrate because they have their reinforcement lines covered by this big old tree line, so they can get their infantry here very easily. But they could technically bring up AT guns and cover the open from us. And one thing that they obviously can't account for is the fact that we have a ton of off-map, and Inky here bringing in 2 of his 194mm off-maps at the same time. Also, another off-map coming in there is going to absolutely start obliterating these forests. Festung is disgusting the longer the game goes. See my Jagdkommandos now helping Valdis with his push here. There is, however, a big old ISU 152 that's going to be saying no. Going to be getting my artillery to try and finish off the ZIS-2. I've also got shots coming in onto this tree line as my Jagd Pioneers do start to turn up. Another IS-2 in our way. It's going to have to be dealt with, but the off map here landing on it shortly should certainly start to deal some damage to it. Stug 3 unfortunately taken out in the meantime. Flammenwerfer is also being brought up. These are actually going to be zooming to the left side. Since I've had artillery coming in on these light forest areas, I thought it would be a good idea to maybe try and sneak some Flammenwerfer in here to keep constant pressure on the front line and make sure that this flag is not so contested from this point forwards. Now if we can capture this flag in the town, it will put us to a 17-15, which will allow us to start ticking in the game with 30 minutes left on the clock. So that is kind of the plan right now, although the Granatiere Calare going to make things very difficult. Panther Ds, however, are getting the better of some of this long-range units. Valdis doing a good job there. Flammenwerfer, unload, get the smoke off, get them into light cover. So in a strong position. Jagdpanther, in the meantime, going to be engaging the T-34-85. This traction, unfortunately, didn't make it Jagdpanther also going to fail on the second shot against the T-34-85. But we did manage to get all of the Jagd Pioneers straight across and into cover here, which is going to give us a strong force to push through and maybe put pressure even onto this flag. But of course the T-34s are in my way, so I'm going to need to get the Panzerschreck on target to take those out. And lots to think about in this game for sure. And all the while, my artillery is still firing away. You can see now in a long line up this tree line so that I can pin the Pioneer Assault, because Pioneer Assault, they are scary. They are 10-man squads with double flamers. Thankfully I have my own flamers in great numbers, so I am able to overwhelm that squad. But otherwise these would be really difficult for me to deal with 1 versus 1. Yeah, in this case just superior numbers allowing me to push through, and this BIMP squad with Tranape is not able to really make the difference. My artillery shell lands very danger close, does find the pins for us, and we get the double surrender. So I'm going to have to retarget those two that were firing close, wait for the last shells to come in before I then push back forwards. And he sees the Jagdkampf, he doesn't want to get the T-34's kill, so he is going to retreat with those. So things are stabilized for us very much on this left side, and we are now on the offense, trying to cross the open. My Jagdpanther finding a clean kill there actually onto the T-34-85 is nice, and picks off the Studebaker. We have a really good line of sight onto all of his reinforcing infantry down this road, so that it is going to force him to unload a lot of this strokey early, but good use of smoke actually by our opponents here. Actually that's our smoke, never mind. Poor use of smoke by our team, helping him get his infantry across here and into cover. I have no idea why smoke's coming down there. I thought that was enemy when I was actually playing it myself, because that was very helpful for them. Meanwhile, my infantry are going to have to pull back and prepare for this absolute wave of infantry heading my way. Meanwhile, counter battery does manage to kill one of my 155, so I'm down to 3 guns now, but I have brought up a few reinforcements on the left hand side. Now, since we've managed to get the better of this position, like Shock and Valdus did a good job pushing this back, have started to pick off a lot of the longer range units. I decided that my infantry would be kind of useless here. I'm just going to be bringing in IGs to help support from range, and then I'm going to be sending my infantry over to the left to help support the AI in taking back this flag, because it's very close to the front line. So I was thinking, you know, this could be an 18th flag that we hold, and that was the plan. Jagdkampf, in the meantime, getting a triple surrender here onto the Strauki. Very nice indeed. We're also going to shoot down an IL-2 with our Flak 38 and Flakfelling. So we're holding, but that big push back there with all that infantry definitely going to make things difficult for us for the time being, which is why I've kind of shifted my help in this 10v10 to the left. Because these are much more easier flags for us to take back because they're closer to our reinforcement points. The deeper we get towards their reinforcement points, the harder it gets for us. Klauszora is going to drop from the game. That is this fella on the right who probably got sick of being off-mapped, to be completely honest. Festung Dunkirchen's off-map just does not end, and you can see it is constant as it continues to smash those infantry squads on the right-hand side, and the wall of infantry behind is also unending. The Festungsgrenadiers, the Luftwaffe Flakkampftruppen, which are really scary because they even have Panzerschrecks. Yeah. Big old push coming through from Jagd, Inky, and Lycus there. Meanwhile, my infantry are going to be unloading the Jagd Pioneers, moving forwards with the flamethrowers. In this case, the converted gun is actually getting the better of my Jagd Pioneer at range. These have absolutely pathetic ranged engagement tools with the 6 Kar-98s, but as soon as the Jagdkampf come into line of sight, that's a dual MG42, so completely makes the difference. Flakfelling, meanwhile, does go down, gets a little bit too far forwards, definitely got a bit overzealous with that AA. We managed to take care of the converted gunners on the left-hand side. Now I'm going to be looking for the kill onto the 94mm AA. This thing is an absolute beast at range. because it does have some very strong AP shells. However, having it that far up, a little bit of a mistake from our opponent. Going to be maybe taking out the Stug though before it goes down, so nicely done. Unfortunately, my Jagdkampf did die in the light cover, so we don't have a Panzerschreck here, but Jag does, and he's going to take that out. So we're still trying to contest this, but obviously with my extra points being spent over here, I'm slowly but surely putting pressure onto the FFO Fusiliers. So Sarge here using the new Czechoslovak unit, the Battlegroup. It stands CIABG, stands for Czechoslovak Independent Armored Brigade Group, I believe. So quite the mouthful. His FFO Fusiliers though made short work of, and we take back another flag for our team. So that is now 18 to 14. So now it's a matter of re-securing this flag and trying to put some pressure back on that. Because I still have my Jagdpanther here that I can use to engage these T-34s at range, but Hansen, with his Corporal 6 Territorial, is going to be able to build them up quite significantly because they are one unit that they have in abundance. But between these areas, I managed to help capture this flag as well because I'm using my artillery before it got pinned down to smash this light cover, and that way this guard unit that was in there got forced out, and it allows Shock's Alenkato de Flakari, which is a two-man flamer squad, to just kind of sit there nice and hidden and put pressure on the flag. So we're 18 to 14 right now, and I'm just trying to play firefighter across the map pretty much. So bringing up a couple of Jagdkampf to help the support of McShab's Stugs. Very, very nice, strong, ranged infantry. Going to be able to get shots onto the Vernatore de Care. Stop that from getting a Panzerschreck on target with the help of the Grenadier as well. Stug 3 versus Valentine at close range. The Stug 3 should one-shot a Valentine because Valentine's technically classed as a light tank in this game, so they don't have as much HP as a medium tank. Jagdkampf going to be able to move up and kill off the Gora Kalwaria, and then we're going to look for the Panzerschreck onto the M2A1. Just such a nice unit to have in this position. Like light cover, Panzergrens with Panzerschrecks, and of course Jagdkampf, which are pretty much the same. Really, really nice in that scenario, especially at this veterancy as well. Triple vet, thanks to the KM Führer and the commander of Grim Guy here, his AI, still being a bit helpful. Unfortunately for McShab, his Stug moves up, gets hit by the T-34-85s, but it has allowed us to put pressure enough onto this flag. So that is big. So we've managed to capture back this flag, and my infantry here is going to hold against all of Hardson and Sarge's infantry. Hardson also noticing that I'm changing tack, so whilst he's fighting me here, he's also going to be fighting me here. The Granatiere Kalare, however, no match for multiple MG34s and MG42s. Jagd also providing some infantry on this side. Just a real team effort throughout this game to take back ground after what was a very difficult start. Big shots coming in there from our opponents, most likely an Andrusha, smashing that flak 105. MG34s now on the way. The MG34 in this position, very, very useful because it does have the 1250 meter range and will therefore be able to put pressure onto those ZIS-2s that are sitting out in the open. If we can take out the ZIS-2s, it gets rid of that overwhelming AP advantage that they have at these longer range engagements, and then we can start to use our own armor to break them down. So I've got a Panzer IV on the way, and McShab's going to be bringing in the Jagdpanther. I've also decided to bring in a Panzer IV here, and that's going to be trying to kill off some armor that is coming down the road. Dead Salmon and Sarge using the Firefly and the Challenger here. Pack 40 of Panzer, trying to kill off the Firefly that I just managed to pen there, and then I'm going to be trying to get shots onto the Challenger. Probably can't see my Panzer IV yet because of lack of recon, so we're just getting free shots. Managed to move just out of range of the Traction Commander, unfortunately, but we do manage to find the Challenger eventually with those shots, so that's good. So yeah, very much playing Firefighter throughout this one. You can see my IGs have moved up into position on the left-hand side. I've got an IG here that moved forwards. It's become under fire by a ton of artillery. I'm using my Jagdkampf to capture this flag still. And on the left, I'm playing around at this front with the Jagdkampf and holding line here. So what I'm doing, this might seem like, oh, how can you play like the whole map all at once? And apologies, I might have just hit my mic. Well, basically, I'm not obviously playing the whole map at once. I'm placing infantry, I'm focusing on the attacks, making sure they get into good positions, and then I'm leaving them. So I'm setting up here, for example, just so that if they do push back in, I can then just move forwards when I need to and attack the enemy units. Meanwhile, they're just going to sit there, they're not going to do anything, unless I want to micro the Panzer IV. Same deal here, like there's no reason for me to push forwards necessarily. You can see that I've done my job, and now the players that were originally here and the AI is going to finish the job for me. Here, bringing up the IGs, it just provides that nice long-range HE fire support that my teammates can then use to push off of. And on this left-hand side, unfortunately, the artillery finally gets the better of my poor Jagdpanther. So, RIP, 42 minutes into the game. So it's just a matter, like, if you are seeing your team lose across the map and you're in a good position yourself, all you got to do is just provide the units that they don't have access to, and game knowledge definitely helps with that. So that is something you'll want to do when you become more experienced in the game. Unfortunately, that Stug made short work of by the T-34 85s. Shock's T4 Commander also going to be in a bit of a bad spot there. You see the MG34 getting a ZIS-2 kill on this left-hand side, and it's also going to be able to start engaging this Breda 47. Now the Breda 47 does have HE rounds, so it will be able to get on target, but the longer this MG34 fires, the more effective it's going to be, and with the Breda actually changing target to the Pak-40, which is a very good kill, I do manage to kill it off. We're sitting pretty in this position with the two Jagdkampf Panzer IV. My teammates just got all the close range infantry to deal with the cover here, if needs be. But I'm going to be bringing up even more MG34s to keep this covered, and a couple of Grenadiers as well. The reason I'm bringing in the Grenadiers to this position specifically is so they come in on this road. Sometimes it is worth placing the unit short, so it uses a specific call-in point that is less exposed. The last of my artillery finally gets taken out back here. You see all my 155s have slowly but surely been counter-batteried, but they did their job. I used them to sweep out many units, support weapons and so on, that were preventing our push across the open. And I also used them elsewhere, like here for example, to help us hold this flag for a while. Now we're back to 1715, so things are still very much close, but Pak-40 has now been brought in, and I'm going to be engaging the T-34s. Now these are damaged from previous engagements, and this Pak-40 is in a really, really tough position for Hudson to deal with. So it's going to be getting multiple shots on target. It does have the APCR at this range, and we get the driver kill, which is huge because it means he can't run away. And we finally kill that off. So 3 T-34 85 1944s killed off just like that with one Pak-40. Now our opponent here, Sarge, with his Cromwell 8 sitting well out in the open. Could have definitely had these a little bit further back, but we're going to be seeing an opportunity to engage those with the Panzer IVs. These Cromwells do not have AT. So most of the time it's easy to identify a unit having AT because it has the yellow number next to their icon. The white icon or grey icon being their armour. So my Panzer IV here, 135mm of penetration on its main gun. Going to be engaging the Cromwell at this range. He can fire back at me, of course, with his HE, and over time, you know, he could potentially kill the Panzer IV if he gets enough shots on target, because those HE shells, when they direct hit, don't do like no damage. They will do like 1 damage a hit, so slowly but surely this will get taken out. But for me, all I need is 2 penetrations and I kill a Cromwell. So Managed to get one there. Mitchell too coming in, gets smashed by all of the AA over here. And that Cromwell now not even firing at my Panzer IV, engaging infantry instead, which is fine because it's got a lot less of a chance of killing the Panzer IV. Ultimately, Sarge should be, running away with this right now. Nice smoke wall right now as McShab starts to push off with his infantry, also bringing in all of the B2s. Oh yeah. I'm going to be going down swiftly to the Valentine Mark 9. This thing with 2 vet is that it can fire very, very quickly. And against a unit like a B2, which doesn't really have much penetration, it's actually going to deal with them very, very quickly. Of course, because I'm not looking here, I can't really move up my Jagdkampf to help. Otherwise, I probably would be. I'm more than likely focusing over here, trying to make sure my Pack 40 stays alive so I can deal with enemy armor. And since things are getting pretty wild, I am going to be bringing in my off-map soon, but not before I bring up some more infantry to help Valdis take back this town. The thing is, we're so close to a 2012 all the time, which is a double tick. I'm just trying to make sure that we do keep getting control of any flag that we can. So yeah, finally noticing McShab's push, maybe a little bit too late, obviously because the smoke wall's down, but I am going to be pushing up with him here to support with those units. And if they do manage to get into the heavy cover opposite, I am going to be able to utilize the Panzerschrecks at close range. Meanwhile, on the right hand side, the wall of off-map has slowly allowed the advance of the infantry of Lycus and Inki and Jagd. And you can see that I've now purchased off-map. So we do have the Kubel with the 194mm off-map, taking a nice drive through the Gora Kalwaria map. And that's going to be heading up to this area. There you go. And that's going to be enabling me to drop off map on the other side of the town and therefore allow us to hold it. So currently, 12 minutes left on the game, and my plan with the off map was basically to slow down the enemy. If we can just have off map going off for the rest of the game, then there's nothing really our opponents can do about it. We've got ourselves into a good position, and now we want to try and take advantage of that. Big old off map coming in here. This is the 380mm off map. And Nebelwerfer is also firing away to that left side. Meanwhile, my Flak 38 going to be taken out. This was placed here originally to help support across the open and allow these troops to get over here without being harassed. Obviously it's AA as well, and had been spotted over time, so coming under fire now from enemy artillery. Our opposing team did have late game artillery like priority, I guess, in the game. Like, our team was losing the artillery war, but it doesn't matter if we have off map, and we have a lot of off map late game, so that was kind of my fallback plan for the rest of the game. Also, the nice thing about off map is you can place it and forget about it. You don't have to supervise it, you don't have to micro it, you just let it do its thing, and it's great in a position where you're helping another player. In this case, these two are going to be trying to place similarly to where Jagdsource is placing his, so that we can get control over this flag, because the main reason that they have control over the flag right now is because of this position. But meanwhile, Jagdkommando is going to be moving forwards, Jagdkampf moving forwards. We're slowly getting into this town. My off map's now coming down, looking for the pin onto the T-34-85, maybe even the kill if I'm lucky. But the shot's not really landing close enough, so the Jagdkommando going to be coming under a lot of fire there. Meanwhile, on this side, Panzer IV is going to be moving up, actually gets a shot across into the T-34-85 there, finds the transmission destroy, and this T-34 likely can't even see the Panzer IV firing from this position, because unless there's any recon in direct line of sight, it's just going to be able to get 3 shots off there. So a little bit of a push here does get breaking down. Cromwell and the T-34 taken out. Still have control over this flag at least, and we're just trying to put pressure into here with the extra troops that I have, although I'm keeping some back just in case. Artillery again going to be coming down from me and more off-map. And these off-map are now driving into position to get shots onto Hardson's infantry here. So as long as I keep off-map here, we keep control of this flag, that's going to be 18-14. If I can do this flag, that's going to be 19-13. And then we're going to want to basically push and keep the pressure on elsewhere with the infantry and stuff that I'm bringing in. A good old 10v10 firefighting this is. Trying to help all over the map. So there we go, the off map smashing away. And you can see here I'm going to ping that this is a barrage. So a barrage fires over time. It doesn't fire all at once. So you have barrage, which fires slowly but for a very long time. Then you have fire for effect, which fires like very quickly and concentrated in a little bit of a larger area. And then you have emergency, which is like it comes down very quickly, but it's very spread out. A nice kill there from the Panther A onto the T-34 that was probably damaged from the artillery before. And now this barrage, what it's going to do is just slowly but surely pin down any infantry that would have been in this area. And you can see that's exactly what it does. The first round lands from that off map. And it pins down the Karashimoto, giving us 20-12 because Lycus here has managed to push down onto this flag. They managed to capture this flag on the crossroads. Things really starting to fall apart, in fact, for our opponents now. This Panzer IV having a little sleepy on the front line. Probably forgot about it because as I'm zoomed out, you know, you can barely see it. So I probably just forgot about it on the left side there. When you get this late into a 10v10, look how many units there are on the map. It's insane. Anyway, my off-map going to be landing on this position, absolutely destroying trees. Not really anything here, but you know, just continuing to put the off-map on that position means that if anything comes down the road, it's just going to end up there. So, be a nice kill. 21-11, briefly, although 20-10 is still enough for a double tick. Or 20-12, sorry, in flags. So 2 minutes, 50 seconds left on the clock. MG34 still being very useful on the left-hand side, as you can see, providing that 2-vet MG fire support. Slowly break down those AT guns. And another smoke push coming in here from Mukshab, but enemy artillery coming in is going to slow that down. There we go. Hardson going to be coming in with another chunk of infantry. And the artillery that I'm continuously placing here is going to try and stop that infantry from taking back this position. So I basically put a barrage on there so that, again, it took a bunch of time. You can see in the bottom left how long it takes to fire. So it's like halfway through firing right now. And that's the barrage just there. Pack 40 on this road did do a good job throughout the game as well. We used that to help cover there and solidify in that position. And yeah, all I would say is generally it comes down to support weapons when you're doing firefighting like this. Just placing IGs around, placing Pack 40s around, placing you know, MGs and stuff, and then that basically frees up the extra points for the player who's on that front to use infantry and tanks and stuff that's like more able to take offensive ground. Again, off-map going to be coming down. I've still got the barrage going, but I'm just going to be dropping a fire effect on it as well. And I've got another 2 off-map vehicles coming in on the left-hand side that are going to be trying to help Mukshab claim this position he's been longing for the entire game. Those smoke walls are great until they disappear. M5L moving up, looking to contest that flag. Pack 40 in a really nice position alongside this building. And we're going to be able to kill that Stuart and take back the flag. We're back to a 20-12. The AI actually moving across here with Panzer's Kutzenpolizei. Take that flag. And my off-map arriving on the left-hand side with 1 minute 15 remaining. So I'm just going to rush to put down those strikes so that we can see them come in. There we go. Concentrated fire for effect off-map coming in 35 seconds. Meanwhile, Inky's coming in with a bombing strike on the right-hand side. The Ju-88s with their 4 250 kilogram bombs. Looking for the IS-2 and the M4A4s, I imagine. Not going to be much AA this far up, so they should freely get their bombing strikes off. And that is a beautifully placed bombing strike. If it landed on this IS-2, but it doesn't. And of course, keeping an eye on the off-map coming in over here. There it goes. You can just sit and watch as it obliterates all the infantry opposite us. You can hear the death sounds of the enemy infantry as it hits. More off-map being brought in on these infantry that are forcing their way through. IL-2s were looking for Jagd's Jagdpanther. He has managed to keep it alive for the entire game. Jagdsor's a big fan of Jagdpanthers, funnily enough. IL-2's actually getting taken out. KM Führer trying to help out with its MG rounds, but that's going to be it. That's going to be game. What a game it was. 10v10, 56 minutes, 47 seconds. A long old one, but very action-packed, and really, I guess, allowed me to show off many of the different things in this division. You've got all sorts of infantry, you got the Jagdpanther, you got the Kampflefeds, you've got the IGs, you've got long-range artillery, plenty of off-map. Like, there's just so much nice, interesting stuff in this division. It is a very well-rounded and strong division. Apart from the armor department, it can suffer a bit there. So if we look at kills, I was 3,450 kills, 3,235 losses, because I'm obviously not concentrated in a particular area. It's very difficult to look after my KD. But I feel like I did do a good job of helping the players across the map to get back positions that were previously lost after taking back our initial position that we've got to remember was pushed really deep in. And thankfully my team came to my help and we managed to push back. My Jagdpanther did okay for us, killed the KV, killed T-34-85. Would have liked to have got a few more tank kills with that, but got a bit unlucky with a few shots. 155, doing great, killing off the SGs, this too, for example. Also managed to pick off the Katyusha that I counter-batteried early on. Jagdkampf getting plenty of kills throughout, especially the ones with high veterancy, just absolutely rinse enemy infantry squads. Panzer IV, that was the one that killed those Cromwells out in the open. I also picked off that Challenger initially up that road. Pack 40, similar. Good kill list here. Taking out multiple T-34-85s. That was the triple kill that we watched. And the Coastal Gun Artillery coming in, getting some kills towards the end. You see most of my late game kills here are just artillery from the off map. Yeah, and that's your lot. Really, really fun game, showing off Festung Dunkirchen. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.